all, and welcome to at least a first in the series for me, a how-to video. Um, Personally, we're going to make something on Inkarnate. If you don't have Inkarnate, that's not a big deal. It's just easier for me to use Inkarnate. I spend I want to say like $35 a year on this product, and this isn't a sponsor or anything like that, but I just really enjoy the product. And so we're in Inkarnate, and we're gonna go ahead and start creating our map. Now we're gonna use a fantasy battle map, which is like a top-down view. We're gonna go ultra 4K. We're gonna do custom, and I like to do 25 by 25. We'll go ahead and create that. That'll load. Now the first thing I do is I usually go to the grid tool. I go to my color, make it black, and then the shadow, we'll make that black as well. And then the layer, we'll do 5. That means it's essentially the thing that pops out the most is the grid on top. We'll go ahead and add land, and then we'll go ahead and go to our assets. Now Inkarnate has a lot of like art assets. We're gonna stick with the fantasy battle maps, as it can get kind of confusing. So we're going to go ahead and get some wood for the flooring of the barn here. And we'll go ahead and we'll say we'll put it up in here in this corner. We'll kind of do a square here. We'll kind of go over here and then kind of just fill it in there. And then we kind of want like a walkway or a trail, and we'll make that out of gravel or something, as it's a path that most people will take. So we'll go ahead and make it like through here, kind of give it a little swirl. We'll kind of thicken it up a little in some places. And as you can see, I kind of made a mistake. We can go back and we can take the grass and kind of cut it down. And as for like the inside, you can always like fill it back in. So we'll take that, and they have this really nifty line tool, again full of assets. But the line tool I usually use for like walls, because it just connects to the grid, assuming you do the snap to grid option. Here, I'll show you in a second. And we'll grab that, and then snap to grid. We'll start in the corner here, just like that. And then we'll do the top up here, just like that. And we want since it's a barn, we want like a big barn door. So instead of adding a wall there, we're going to add a door. Simple things. We'll go to the core and then add the door. We don't want a single door, we want a double wide door. So we'll size it up a bit. One of the best things in this like, I don't know, map creation tool is you can resize pretty much everything. You can resize it, you can color it a certain way. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of that path, and we'll make a bigger path for the barn door. So we're thinking we're gonna make this a wood carvers or woodworkers barn. We're gonna go ahead and add another small door, just for the back door, or resize. One thing you can do is if it's too skinny, you could go to the transform and just put that height there, and then I'll give it some extra, just some extra ability to stretch. And then we will go ahead and start adding some extra stuff. So we'll start with like a couple stumps, as obviously the wood from the barn had to come from somewhere. So we'll add some stumps and make it a little more realistic since it's a wood carvers. So we're gonna add a couple more stumps and some felled some felled trees too. Again, the one thing you want to look at is the layers, and if it's like on top of the layer, it goes over essentially what you just put down, and that's kind of what we want. We want it to look like they just fell over. Go ahead and add some split logs, meaning we'll just kind of give some detail to the area, something for our players to interact with. And we'll go ahead and get that situated. We'll also add some foliage. We'll go down here and add just a little herb crop here. It doesn't have to be a crop that they like gather or anything, just kind of like little dandelions, if you will. And then we'll go down here to what is it? We'll go ahead and grab trees, no, bushes. Sorry, I always get those confused. We'll resize them as they are kind of small, but small is okay. You want to put them on the grid. Snap to grid is a nice option, but you don't have to use it. It just automatically puts it on the grid in a pleasing manner. So we'll go ahead and grab the trees. And what I usually do is I set the trees in the middle of a square. That's because I use dynamic lighting, and I like to use a circle for the middle of the square to represent the trunk, so they can't see past the middle square. We'll go ahead and add some here. We'll go ahead and add a double one, which we'll add some foliage back here. Some bigger trees in the back. Again, this area, like past the wall, is something I don't think the players will really interact with, but if they want to squeeze back there, they can. We'll add some, let's see. We'll add some, yeah, like some storage boxes. We'll go ahead and snap to grid. We'll put those right there and there. Now that looks like two, I don't know, too like boxed in. So what you want to do is like kind of give it some realism. Put, you know, the boxes in different orders. You can flip them around. And we'll put some back here. I don't want to use metal because there are woodworkers and metal costs money. But those are like reinforced kind of storage things. So with the door, I wasn't really happy with it, so I changed it to an open door. Now, that's just me. You can have it be a closed door. I do have doors in my setting that like open with dynamic lighting. And what you can do is you can lock things down so you don't accidentally like touch them. Like here, I would be touching the wall, but I am not. I'm using the table. We'll go ahead and put a couple tables, a couple little workbenches here. We'll go ahead and resize them. Again, we'll lock the trees behind so we don't constantly keep clicking on them. And then we'll go ahead and grab barrels. We'll say these are barrels of like linseed oil or maybe just water. Whatever you really want to put in them is up to the game. And then we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go back over here. And what we can do is put some wheelbarrows. We'll grab a couple. We'll resize them, and we'll grab a couple as if they're like storage. And then we'll grab. We could put a rake, a nest. We'll put a couple hay bales in a barn. That makes sense. We'll put some hay bales back here. And then we'll kind of resize them. And then we'll get some sticks, and instead we'll put those in the wheelbarrows, little bundles of sticks here. And then we will grab we'll grab a hoe, and then put it here. We'll kind of age it. So we'll turn the saturation down a little bit, and the hue. Obviously that looks pink, so we don't want that. We want it a little like, you know, like red. We want it to have a little bit of rust in there, and we want to grab the contrast, bring it up a bit. So now, as you see, we can just do the normal one, which doesn't look too bad, but it just doesn't look right being in a barn. So we'll grab, oh boy, we could put, let's put some supports. Obviously the barn isn't being held up by just the walls, so we'll put some supports. We'll put one here, here. We'll put one, we kind of don't want to put it in the middle like that. It just doesn't look like it stands out. So we'll put one in the middle here. We don't want it in the middle of the doors, but we probably want to move our hay bales so that we can put one there. We'll put it on this wall instead. And that way we have supports. A little more realistic. We'll put some logs in here, some cut logs, and we'll resize them a little bit so that they are a little more realistic, like you dragged them in after cutting them down. And we'll put them on top of each other as a pile, and that looks really good. We'll then go ahead and grab we'll grab a net. We'll put a net over them, and then we can resize that so that, and I wasn't really sure what to do with the saturation or anything here, so we just left it as normal here. Then we'll go ahead and grab, it looks really good. I think it needs more, obviously, so let's go ahead and add a tree back here, a tree here, a tree there, and then we'll go ahead and get the bushes. Again, things in the back, if they're there but not seen, then there's no point in having them there. Go ahead and grab, I think, some rocks. Let's add some rocks. A couple rocks here. We'll go ahead and put them on the lower, so they're behind everything. And then put a rock here, here, and then here, here. Something a little just more realistic. And then we got smaller rocks, which are more plenty in the area, which makes sense. We'll put rocks here, 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 and here. Just to make it a little more realistic, we'll put them in the path as well. Then we will grab some wood, some like scrap wood, stuff that he's been working on, and then just threw in the corner. Go ahead and make that a little more brighter so it matches the other wood. We'll go ahead and grab some actual planks. So he's been cutting up some planks, so we'll put some planks down. We'll stop doing the random stamps. We'll just do this specific plank, and we'll put a big little area there for it. And then we'll go ahead and grab some nails here, and we'll put the nails. See, the nails are pretty big on screen. Those are way too big to be just regular nails, so we'll grab them, we'll size them down, we'll put them in the corner, and then we'll start adding some stuff. So some chisels for, again, woodworking. We'll add a plane, and then a drill. No, those are clamps, sorry. A hammer. Then we'll grab a saw, a couple saws actually. And then on this side, this is like his work area. So let's go ahead and grab a grindstone. So he'll sharpen over here. And then obviously you want the little bar in front. I didn't realize that at the moment. So we'll grab a chair because he likes to sit and work. And then we'll grab that. We can do something like that, and obviously the token will take up the entire 5 feet, so it'll look like he's sitting in the chair, but we don't need to do that. We'll just add the chair to the map. Then we'll go down here and add the toy that he made. And again, if you look at it, I clicked twice so that there's one here, and then I resized it, but again, it's on the bottom, so you don't want it on the bottom. we'll go ahead and grab some carving knives, a little tiny like paring knives, again on the bottom. So you want to set, you just want to make sure you're setting your things on the right layer. We'll go ahead and grab, let's see, a broom or a little dust area thing. And then what we can do is we can get, let's see here, we can get wood table, we could do a violin, maybe some split logs. Yeah, just some regular split logs down here, and we'll split them almost like the same length of the logs right next to it, almost as if like he split the logs that he just gathered. We'll grab that, and then we want a little more detail on our map, so maybe we'll go and get some dunes. So obviously it's sand, but you can resize it and recolor it to maybe, I don't know, resemble sawdust. And then we'll just add some piles of sawdust around, and we'll just add them here, we'll add them there. We'll say the shop is pretty dirty, so we'll just keep adding them there. And then put one there under the table, of course, that makes sense. And just random places, like on the door if it's been open for a while, or over here where they accumulated a lot of sawdust. So we'll go up here, and I think we'll add some foliage to the outside, and we'll go ahead and, I don't know, we can make it like, yeah, there we go, some leaves, and then we'll go ahead and put those leaves on pretty much underneath every tree. It's a little more realistic that they're under trees. You can put them pretty much anywhere, but we're going to put them under the trees. There we go. And then we're going to grab some sticks and stones, and then we'll just put those pretty much around. You could put them on the path too. I think that's what I should have done here, is put some on the path, but putting them out in the foliage is not a bad idea. We'll grab some sand, and what you can do is you can turn the saturation to kind of the similar way that we're doing the sand there. And obviously it takes some trial and error, but we get to a point where we're like, yeah, that works. So we'll go ahead and grab the occupancy, and what we can do is kind of just give a broad spectrum. So if you like see that there's a tiny like circle there, and we don't want that. We want a little more opacity, and then make it a little dirty, kind of just give little streaks here and there, and go from there. So what we can do with that is make it a little more detailed in some areas, and then we will go ahead and, I think, finish up there. We can, because these barrels, crates, have been outside so long, we can put some moss. Yeah, let's put some moss. We'll go ahead and grab that. We'll resize it and recolor it a little more green. And again, we'll change the layer. Put that on top, put that on bottom. There we go. And we can darken these as well. So we'll darken them so they're a little weathered, as it were. And we'll change the brightness, the saturation, and there we go. That's pretty much a finished product here. The only thing we really have to do after that is just put it in Roll20. I use Roll20, which is a click and a download, and we'll get that going. We'll set our walls and lighting, and it is pretty much a good to go barn, ready to adventure and like see what they can find in there. Maybe there's some goblins, or maybe there's it's a haunted barn and there's a ghost there, or maybe they're just trying to find clues. Either way, this was a simple, hopefully simple, way of making a barn in Inkarnate. It only took 30 minutes. I did speed up the footage a little bit for you, as to not bore you. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and if you want this map, it's on my Patreon, as well as all my other maps that I make for my game. And it's only $1. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you joined and gathered those up for me. Thank you again for watching, and as always, have a good one.